What makes someone a legend in football? Is it the trophies or the individual moments of brilliance? For Jose Mourinho, it wasn't just about winning trophies. It was the audacity, the confidence, the sheer will to break every rule in football's book. "I think I'm special," he boldly declared when he arrived at Chelsea in 2004. But that wasn't just a boast, it was a statement of intent. It was a challenge to mediocrity, a declaration that he would do things his way, no matter what. And time again, Mourinho delivered on that promise. The special one? Absolutely. But how did he get there? Let's dive in. Born on January the 26th, 1963, in Setúbal, Portugal, Jose Mourinho's rise to greatness wasn't exactly smooth. Let's face it, the odds weren't stacked in his favour. His father was a professional goalkeeper. Young Jose didn't exactly inherit the athletic genes that would have had him dazzling crowds on the pitch. While others dreamed of fame through flair, Mourinho focused on doing something far more powerful: his mind. He wasn't the flashy player, the dribbler, or the one who would make defenders quake in their boots. Mourinho played at smaller clubs like Belenenses and Comercio e Industria, clubs that weren't exactly on the European radar. But here's the thing: while other players were dreaming of superstardom, Jose Mourinho was already thinking about a future that didn't involve being the star player. He was preparing to be the star coach. He wasn't interested in the limelight of the pitch. He was strategizing how to conquer the world of football from the sidelines. By the age of 24, after a relatively short playing career, he made a game-changing decision: coaching. And not just any kind of coaching. He was going to challenge every footballing tradition and make the world sit up and take notice. Here's a question: what makes a great coach? Is it the tactical knowledge, or is it knowing exactly when to pull the strings behind the scenes, orchestrating every move like a puppet master? For Mourinho, it was all of the above, and then some. His first major coaching break came as an assistant to Sir Bobby Robson at Sporting CP. Mourinho wasn't just learning the ropes, he was soaking up everything. He wasn't the kind of assistant who'd sit back and wait for his chance. No, he was already taking mental notes, analysing, learning, and building his philosophy of football. Under Robson's guidance, Mourinho got the exposure he needed, and it wasn't long before he was on the move again, this time to FC Porto, alongside Robson. But here's where things start to get interesting. Mourinho wasn't content to just sit back and take orders. He was watching, waiting, and biding his time. When Robson left Porto in 1994, Mourinho seized the opportunity to prove he wasn't just a good assistant, he was a potential football mastermind in the making. By 2002, he was the head coach of Porto, and the world was about to get a taste of what was coming. Let's rewind for a second. Imagine this: you've just taken the reins of a club that isn't exactly a European powerhouse. What do? Do you stick with tradition, or do you shake things up? For Mourinho, there was only one option. He had to reshape Porto into a team that could dominate, and that's exactly what he did. His Porto side wasn't built on the flashiness of individual players. It was a team defined by its organisation, its discipline, and its defensive solidity. Mourinho's football wasn't about attacking at all costs, it was about controlling the game. He set his team up to be disciplined at the back, hard to break down, and lethal on the counter. Every pass, every movement was meticulously planned. The results? Well, they were nothing short of spectacular. In 2003, Mourinho led Porto to a UEFA Cup victory, and just a year later, he did the unthinkable. He won the UEFA Champions League with a squad that wasn't the most expensive, but was undoubtedly one of the best organised, most tactically aware teams in Europe. That win in 2004, a 3-0 demolition of AS Monaco, wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. Mourinho wasn't just a manager, he was a genius in the making, a force to be reckoned with. And then in 2004 came Chelsea. Mourinho had already made a name for himself with Porto, but now he was ready to take on the English Premier League and the world. When he arrived at Stamford Bridge, he didn't just arrive as a manager, he arrived as a brand, the special one. That phrase wasn't just a catchy slogan, it was a manifesto. He wasn't going to be just another coach, he was going to change the game. So, what made Mourinho's Chelsea so special? Well, first, he didn't mess around. He inherited a team full of talent, but he knew it was going to take more than just individual brilliance to succeed in the Premier League. His Chelsea was a perfect mix of strong, organised defence combined with attacking flair when needed. And the results? Stunning. In his very first season, Mourinho led Chelsea to the Premier League title, their first in 50 years. The team didn't just win, it obliterated the competition, setting a then record points tally. And let's not forget his ability to play mind games. Mourinho's war with the media became legendary. His personality was as much part of his success as his tactics. He knew how to keep players focused and how to get under the skin of opponents. That's a rare combination, isn't it? A manager who can win a game on the pitch and off it. After a brief second stint at Chelsea, Jose Mourinho took his talents to Italy. It was at Inter Milan that he faced perhaps the greatest challenge yet, turning a club that had dominated domestically but never quite managed to conquer Europe into a true force on the global stage. The task was huge, the pressure immense, but as we know, Jose Mourinho doesn't shy away from pressure. He thrives on it. In just 2 years, Mourinho did what no one thought possible. In 2010, he led Inter Milan to the historic treble, Serie A, Coppa Italia, and the UEFA Champions League. To put that into perspective, it was the first time an Italian club had won the treble, and it felt like Mourinho had somehow combined his tactical brilliance with a bit of footballing sorcery. What made this achievement even more extraordinary was how he structured his team. Unlike some managers who prioritise flair, Mourinho built his Inter Milan around a solid defence. Every player knew their role, and Mourinho's meticulous planning ensured that no one deviated from it. His tactical setup was a masterclass in how to take on the giants of Europe and not just compete, but conquer them. But it wasn't just the football that made this season unforgettable. Mourinho, ever the master of mind games, managed to manipulate the media, deflect pressure, and keep his players focused on the task at hand. Remember that semi-final against Barcelona in the 2010 Champions League? Inter's 3-1 victory at the Nou Camp remains one of the most iconic performances in modern football, and it was Mourinho's game plan that made it happen. His ability to mastermind that victory was just another reminder that when it came to big games, Mourinho was always thinking 5 steps ahead. And let's not forget about the players. He got the best out of the players who had been written off, turned them into heroes, and made them believe in the impossible. This wasn't just tactical genius at play, it was a masterclass in motivation. Mourinho made Inter Milan believe they could beat anyone, and they did. In 2010, after his triumph with Inter Milan, Mourinho took on perhaps the biggest challenge of his career yet, Real Madrid. He was handed the reins of one of the world's biggest clubs, and with it came the massive responsibility of dethroning a Barcelona side that was, at the time, playing some of the most beautiful football the world had ever seen. Pep Guardiola's Barcelona was a juggernaut, and Mourinho's task wasn't just to compete with them, it was to crush them. Mourinho's approach was everything you'd expect from him, ruthlessly efficient. While Barcelona was dazzling the world with their possession-based tiki-taka style of football, Mourinho built Real Madrid into a juggernaut that thrived on structure, discipline, and cold-blooded efficiency. Forget the silky passes and pretty football. Real Madrid under Mourinho became a machine, churning out results with ruthless precision. In the 2011-12 season, Real Madrid set a new record in La Liga, finishing with 100 points, a feat that, at the time, felt like a direct challenge to Barcelona's dominance. Mourinho's side played with speed, power, and aggression. Mourinho's relationship with the media had always been combative, but at Real Madrid, it reached new heights. His mind games with Barcelona were legendary, but the internal conflicts at Madrid, particularly his tense relationship with star player Cristiano Ronaldo, began to simmer. Mourinho wasn't the kind of manager to bow down to egos, and his inability to play the politics game in Madrid eventually led to friction between him and the locker room. By 2013, despite breaking Barcelona's stranglehold on Spanish football, Mourinho's time at Madrid had come to an end. But as always with Mourinho, the story was never about the end, it was about the journey. In 2013, after his turbulent time in Madrid, Jose Mourinho made his much-anticipated return to Chelsea. The special one was back, but this time, it wasn't about reinventing the wheel, it was about picking up where he had left off. The challenge was different this time around. Chelsea was no longer a team struggling to reach the top. They were already one of Europe's elite clubs. But with Mourinho back at the helm, expectations soared once again. He didn't waste any time asserting his authority. In his first session back, Chelsea finished third in the Premier League, and then first. But it wasn't the title that had Mourinho's attention, it was the bigger picture. He was building something, once again creating a team that could not only win, but dominate. The blend of youth and experience, along with a backline that Mourinho always prized, set the foundation for his second spell at Chelsea. But Mourinho's time at Chelsea wasn't without its challenges. Mourinho's confrontational style sometimes didn't sit well with a new generation of players, and the Premier League had changed since his first stint. But regardless of the ups and downs, Mourinho's impact was still undeniable. His stint was short, and he was sacked. Mourinho's managerial career has been anything but a straight line. His later years saw him take on different challenges, from Manchester United to Tottenham Hotspur, where his trademark confidence, tactical genius, and mind games continued to spark both admiration and controversy. At Manchester United, Mourinho's second season saw the club win the Europa League and League Cup, but it was clear that his relationship with the players had become strained. His time at Spurs, though short, was also filled with drama, as Mourinho tried to revive the club's fortunes but ultimately found himself at odds with the demands of the modern game. Yet, for all the controversies, Mourinho's legacy is secure. He didn't just win trophies, he changed the way we think about football management. So, what makes Jose Mourinho truly special? It's not just the trophies, the titles, it's the way he revolutionized football. He wasn't just a manager, he was a leader, a strategist, and a master manipulator. His ability to adapt, to take on the biggest teams in the world, and to always have a plan B, and sometimes a plan C, D, and E, is what set him apart from the rest. Is Mourinho a footballing genius? Absolutely. But more than that, he's the man who dared to believe he was special, and then proved it, time and time again. His journey isn't just about the trophies, it's about the relentless belief that, when it comes to football, there's always a way to win. And Jose Mourinho is living proof of that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more player documentaries.